House vote wrapping up just moments ago. It was 227 to 205 when Republicans realized they had the votes. Applause erupted on the House floor. These lawmakers got a pitch from President Trump coming up to Capitol Hill earlier today. They also got an appeal from the House Speaker, who has worked his entire career trying to get tax reform done.
It's about tax relief. It's about fairness. It's about simplicity. It's about easing the stress and anxiety that's in this country. But what we really need to do is we need better jobs, more jobs, faster economic growth, higher wages.
Earlier, key Democrats tried to attack the plan, saying this is a bad deal.
The Republicans started this process by saying that every American, everyone in America, will get a tax cut. Now they're saying, on average, people will get a tax cut. And even that isn't correct.
13 Republicans, mostly from high-tax states, and 192 Democrats opposed it. They still had enough votes to get it out of the House. Sandra?
Mike, what about the tax reform push on the Senate side?
Well, things are a little dicey there. There's still work ahead. You've got one Republican who came out and said that he is against the tax bill at this stage because he feels like it'll favor corporations over other businesses.
I was asked, can you support the current Senate version? I wouldn't vote for it. It's just that simple, but doesn't mean I don't want to, vote for a real solution. And so that's why I work with, again, Senate, House, and the White House to get one.
The Senate Finance Committee continues working on its own tax reform proposal. A key Democrat launched this attack a little earlier today.
Republicans are going to test the limits of exactly how many different ways hardworking Americans can be forced to pony up vast sums for corporate handouts.
Still plenty of work ahead after the Thanksgiving recess to get 50 Republicans to vote yes in the Senate on tax reform.
Judge Roy Moore losing by 12 points in the latest poll against Democrat Doug Jones. He's 12 points down, and 6 women have accused Moore of sexual misconduct at this point. Newt Gingrich is with us right now. Newt, I don't think there's anything you can do about Roy Moore, short of him losing the election and the Democrats win the seat. I think that's what's going to happen. What say you?
Well, I would say that he's had no clear answer that explains away these charges, and the people of Alabama are going to render verdict, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be the U.S. Senate. It shouldn't be the Washington Post. The people of Alabama get to pick who ought to be their senator. These are very serious allegations. He clearly does not have an answer for them, and I think you're seeing the judgment come against him. So the Republicans will lose the seat they ought to have. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. And I think it's probably unavoidable at this stage. I don't think under Alabama law there's any practical way for him to get off the ballot. But it does strike me that he's almost certainly going to lose, and may lose by the kind of margin you're describing. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you like that, but look, as we move closer to a Senate vote, I have to say I find it absolutely unbelievable that a Republican senator would cast a no vote and kill the tax bill, kill the president's growth agenda, and frankly, kill the GOP in next year's elections. I can't imagine that happening, but it might. Am I right?
Well, it might, but it would be a tremendous mistake for any Republican senator to think that they can kill this tax cut bill. Again, it's one thing to raise the issue, as Senator Johnson has, on behalf of small business. Can they tweak it? Can they get an amendment to it? That's part of the legislative process. But in the end, every small business is going to have a slower tax. They're going to have more money in their pocket, a greater ability to hire people. The bill may not be perfect, but it's important to get to conference. And I would hope that every Republican senator would look very carefully. And frankly, there are a number of Democratic senators in very pro-Trump states who ought to be looking carefully at this bill. This is a lot to vote against. You really want to go back home and tell your voters you want them to have a smaller deduction. You want them to have a more complicated code. You want to punish small business. You want to cripple American job creation. I think a no vote here may come back to hurt people in the general election in ways they can't even imagine yet. So I particularly would hope when they get done negotiating, I hope Senator Johnson and others will decide that they're a yes vote. I think it would be tragic for any senator, any Republican senator, to kill this bill.
Do you think that we have three who are on the fence or leaning no? That will be Bob Corker, Senator McCain, and Jeff Flake. All three of them have had personal run-ins with the president. All three of them are probably not going to be in, I hate to be pejorative, but Corker and Flake are leaving the Senate. Do you think it's personal? I mean, are they opposing this deal because it's personal?
No, look, I know all three of these guys pretty well. They're not going to, in the end, make a decision which affects millions and millions of Americans, affects American job creation, helps every small business in the country. They're not going to make that decision out of personal irritation with President Trump. They got lots of ways they can fight each other by Twitter and elsewhere. But I think in the end, these guys are serious senators. They want to do a serious job. And I think you're in the process here of seeing us legislate in public. It's a new world. And between Twitter and Facebook and 24-hour television and talk radio, everything gets negotiated out in public. I think that's fine. But in the end, my hunch is all of these guys are going to put the country first. And I think that they are probably going to all vote yes.
OK. Thanks very much, Newt. You are the author of Understanding Trump. You know what you're talking about, and we appreciate that. Newt Gingrich, everyone.